Hi, it's Neale from Pen Productions. Here's a quick demo of how to get one object to sit on another and follow the surface so that the surface is a sticking point for an object. It's a little bit of extra work needs to be done to be able to get this to work. But we'll just start off with a plane, for instance. I'm going to start off with something pretty high density, just so we have a lot of surface to hit. And just give this a better color for us, like that blue. And now I'm going to add a noise modifier. So I'm going to hit X and say noise, add the noise modifier, and let's just crank up the noise amount. Maybe pull the scale down so we have lots of noise. I'm just going to move the center point out so we don't have a flat spot in the middle, for instance. Just something to hit. Nice here. So there's our surface. Now I'm going to make another plane. And that plane is going to be similar in a sense, except it is going to have absolutely no edge lengths, edge segments, and it's just going to be a little square. And I'm just going to make it a little 1x1 square, for instance, just a little dot. And I'm just going to move it over somewhere into the middle right now, so that we have a little dot here. What we need is, in a sense, you could call it a ray gun, I guess you could say. And so I'm going to go to objects and helpers, and I'm going to say point, and I'm going to create a point helper. In this case, just a size of 20, and I'm going to move it into the middle. I want to move it up, and this is where we're going to fire from. Now, since we're going to fire from this, I'm going to rotate it over. Got an angle snap on, so I'm just going to rotate it over in Z, so that, around 180 degrees here, so that Z is pointing straight down, and that's going to be the point at which we fire our ray, in a sense, from. Just to get things lined up, I'm just going to line up my little plane up to this, so it's now aligned to it. I'm going to freeze transforms on both of these, so they're frozen in their current position. And now I need something to stick to this surface, because this surface isn't going to be trackable so easily. We're going to need to, it's easier if you stick something to it. And then you can link things into it to make it easier. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create another point helper here. And so objects, point, create, and I'll make this one smaller, and we'll give this one a color of red. So it's a little red point helper now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use an attachment constraint. So animation constraints, attachment constraint. I'm going to constrain it to it, so it sticks it down to the surface. And what we can do is then set the position. You can either do it by manually grabbing it and moving it. I'm just going to set it, in this case, I'm going to set it in the middle. So the middle is going to be A is 0 and B is 0.5 to get a point along the edge that's down the center here. And so this one stuck in here. Now we can rotate it around if we want and flip it back over. I'll just set it up like that, for instance, just so it looks maybe a little more obvious of what's going on. And then we're going to take our plane and we're going to stick it down to the surface here and have it stick. Now what we need to do is we need to use a conform compound space. So I'm going to go into here and say conform, say pick wrap to objects, pick a wrap to object. And it will have done it automatically in any object Z. I'm going to say use the Z axis of our helper here. And we should have, let's just say hide wrap to object. Whoops, there it is. So it just updated. And so you can see that I've got two objects here. My viewport wasn't updating. So I'm going to say hide wrap to object. You can see I've got it sitting a little bit off the surface. That's the default projection distance. Can be left at 1 in this case, and we can give it a standoff distance and have it stand off the height that we want. I'll just leave it 1 so we can see it. So now what we need to do is, you can see we fired this straight down and it's stuck to the surface. We need to make it so we can move this easily. Right now, if we try to move the point, and if I go and grab the move tool, you can see it's not updating. The reason it's not updating is if I just unhide the wrap2 object, you're actually moving everything. It's made a complete copy of the mesh to be able to do this. So I'm going to say hide again. So we want to move only that one. If we go into the operands and pick that operand, we can move it and get it to move around. So we could have linked that into something if we wanted. We can also wire it as well. So I'm just going to do a wire. I'm going to go Alt-5 on the keyboard, bring up my param wire dialog. I'm going to load up in the right side here the plane 2 that we've got. And it should be under the operands. So we want to go down here and grab the operands, and we want to place it. So I'm going to take the first operand, and I'm going to go to the position, and there's the frozen position. So we're going to the zeroed out position. So we're going to wire into it. Let's grab. I'm just going to get out of the sub object, grab our little point helper, load it on this side, find it's zeroed out, and I'm going to just connect the two together. And it looks like it needs to be frozen again because it just offset, the point just offset on it. So we're probably going to need to freeze this one again to be able to get to this and to hook this up properly without it jumping as it just did. I'm just going to say disconnect. And let's just realign it. And I'll say align without the orientation. So it lines it up. And now we're aligned to it again. Let's just refreeze this object's transform in here. Now we have to do it a bit of a long-winded way, because if we do the freeze transform, it's going to freeze the transform in the entire object and not this operand. So I'm going to go into the track view here, dope sheet, and I'm going to go down and find that operand again. And here's that frozen position. You can see that there's values been placed on it, because I probably should have done it after the fact. And again, this is part of the step you're going to have to take. So real easy. I'm going to go in, right click on position, say properties, and I'm just going to blow away the position here and just say delete. You'll see it suddenly jump again. First one's active. Let's just do that realign. I'm just going to go Alt A and just realign it. So it's the first controller that's been aligned. In the available track, I'm going to say assign controller, and in this case I can just put a Bezier position, so a second controller in there. And I'm going to wire that now. So there's the track, the zeroed track of our point helper up above. Here's our Bezier position. I'm going to wire that. You can see it didn't move now. So when I select this point, you can see it now moving over that surface. So this can be used for all sorts of things to get one object to stick to another. And now you can see that point moving around. So we could then easily get an object to follow this and do whatever we need. So let's just go and grab, for instance, a cylinder, or make it a teapot. It's always nice to abuse teapots. I'm going to align position and orientationally teapot here to our little point helper. We could hook the teapot directly, attachment constraint directly to the plane if we wanted, but I like to link things into rigs in a sense so that they're easily adjustable, or I can replace that teapot without having to re-hook anything up. So now you'll see that we've got a teapot that now follows the surface and blends over the surface. So that's an easy, fast way of being able to set up something that's going to constrain. Hope you enjoyed that.